Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Welcome to Rum. And what the idea of this show is we're going to go down the rabbit hole of all the different types of rums there are. And we have our friend Joel here, who is kind of new to the field of rum. And we're going to introduce you different types of rums from all over the country, all over the world, actually. And we'll give you a little history on each one and what they taste like and what they're all about. Jason, where are we going first on our rum journey?
Our first stop on the journey here is going to be Cuba, which is very historically significant for the U.S. at least. But first of all, Joel, welcome to rum.
Looking forward to it.
So Ray and I have been talking about it, and we've both been enjoying rum for several years now. But you learn things here and there, but you don't think about it too deeply. But then you start trying to tell other people about rum, and now you got to know a few things. So this isn't so much a rum school as kind of a welcome to rum, get to know it a little bit. Joel, what would you say is your your drinking background? As in, what would you normally prefer to drink?
I like to drink. I'm generally kind of a volume drinker, so it's more about what I can get in relatively inexpensive quantities when it comes to vodkas and whiskey and things along those lines.
What I'm saying is predominantly
I'm a volume drinker.
Would you say that if you had a choice, you would normally go for a whiskey, a vodka, a tequila, a gin?
All of the above. Yeah,
Have you had any Long Island iced teas in your day?
I've had a Long Island iced tea or two, but rum is outside of the standard fare, Bacardi and so on and so forth. I'm very much new to it.
Well, that's the thing about rum. It has like a bad reputation because it's like when people think of rum, they think of Bacardi, Captain Morgan's, and just all that.
And Malibu.
This stuff that's on my shelf.
So yeah, most Americans are familiar with Bacardi or maybe Cruzan. So that's Bacardi's a Puerto Rican, Cruzan is a Virgin Islands rum. Yeah. Malibu is more of a liqueur. It's a very low alcohol content and a whole lot of flavoring added. So not even properly a rum, but most Americans, when they think of rum, that's what they think of. Well, rum is pretty much any spirit that's distilled from sugar. So it can be distilled from processed sugar, molasses, or from raw sugar cane, and it makes a big difference on what it's like. And then you got different styles in there: a Spanish style, a French style, an English style. Most Americans are more familiar with the Spanish and the English style, but we're going to start with Cuba. So Cuba has a long history of producing rum, and there used to be a lot of trade between America and Cuba, but then we had some issues together over revolutions and missile crises and such as that, so it became much harder to get. You go way back, and you've got Americans going over to Cuba to work and experiencing the rums there and creating cocktails that became very popular in the U.S. Things like the daiquiri and the Cuba Libre. But now we get rums from all different places. So from Cuba, we don't get much unless, of course, you live someplace where you can import it yourself. So we live pretty close to Canada, so we can go up to Canada and we can bring back a limited supply for personal consumption. So I don't have a great variety of Cuban rums here, but I do have 3 of them from Havana Club. Now, when you go to the store, don't be confused. There's also a Havana Club made by Bacardi that says Havana Club, but it's not made in Havana. So we've got the Havana Club 3-year. This is a white rum that's aged 3 years. It's distilled and then it's lightly aged. So it's got a very robust smell to it. It's not as refined. If you move along down on the far end, and Ray can raise that up, we've got the Havana Club 7-year. Well, that is a blended rum, but all of the rums in it are at least 7 years old.
Well, not yet.
Not yet. So one of the master blenders from Havana Club goes in, finds batches of rum, at least 7 years, all of them, though some of them may be significantly older, and from those batches, others will move into other batches, and every grouping or bottling is going to be slightly different, but their master blender tries to get them about the same. So on our small shot glasses here, we have Havana Club 7-year.
So let's try this.
Oh, do not shoot this. This is good stuff. So just get a good taste of it.
Sipping liquor.
That's good. That's real good.
That's real good.
It's delicious. It's not what I think of when I think of rum. It doesn't.
It's a lot smoother. It doesn't have that
butane
burn on the back.
Yeah, I like it.
the very first time I had this was actually at the Dilla Room, and the owner of the bar gave me some.
Wow!
It's like not for sale. Like it was like an under the table kind of thing because he just had it, and I'm like, oh my god, this rum's amazing. What is this, Havana Club? It's like, where can I get it? It's like, well, not here.
Canada.
So as far as the rules are concerned, you cannot buy Cuban rum in America.
So that hasn't opened up with
Not
some
yet.
of the warming of
No, and
relations.
actually, up until a couple years ago, I don't even know if we were even allowed to bring it into the country, but now you can.
Okay.
So if you can bring it in, like we can go up to
It
Canada.
can be had, we just can't buy it.
Yeah, I know you can
You
bring in
can't-
at least 4 bottles, possibly more. I know there's a number of liters, or it's metric, so it's not.
But I've never had any problems
Ounces.
getting it. But you cannot buy this in America.
So you don't need to smuggle this in. This
No.
isn't.
No, you can
don't
declare
need-
it when you're driving through with your
Okay.
car. You can say, "I picked up 4 bottles of this on
It's a
the
good
way."
thing to know.
Yep. Yeah, you can
Otherwise-
totally buy this up in Canada and bring it back with you. Or if you say you go on a trip to Cuba, you can bring it back with you.
Okay.
But you cannot buy it in America, and it's a shame because it is some of my favorite rums, and this is my first introduction to Havana Club, 7-year, and it's so good. It's so good. I don't mix this with anything. Do you ever mix this with anything?
Not normally, no. And I had the 7-year before I had the 3-year. I just remember the first time that I went up to Canada. Well, no, it was actually the second time I went up. The first time I went with you to go to the Shameful Tiki Room.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever bought the Havana Club and brought it back, and thought it was absolutely fantastic. So, Joel, you got a little bit of a background with whiskeys, scotches and bourbons. Would you put that more towards that than what you think of as a rum previously?
Absolutely, yeah. This is definitely it's got a smokier flavor than what I associate or what I think of when I think of rum. When I think of rum, I'm used to thinking of tropical fruity drinks and things along those lines. Stuff that's mixed with cloyingly sweet.
So traditionally,
Syrups
the
and
nicer rums, if you're not drinking them straight or neat, simply just an ice cube like you would with a scotch or a bourbon, or with rum, just a little squeeze of lime and a little bit of 1-1 simple syrup. Give it a good swirl, let it open up, and enjoy it.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it's
All
very
right,
good.
let's see if we can finish these samples before we move on.
Drink.
So try to kill me.
Hey gang, we'll get back to the Tiki conversation here in just a second, but I want to let y'all know they have t-shirts for sale. They are screen printed in America. The artist is Tony Canepa, and they're going for $20 a piece, $25 including shipping. If you're interested in buying one, go to my website, tikiwithray.com, and then there's a tab that says buy a t-shirt. Click on there and just follow the prompts. So thank you very much. And let's get back to the Tiki conversation now. Yeah, I think what's funny about, like, when you get in, I guess it would be true, like, if you got into whiskey too. It's like, when you get into it, all of a sudden, like I don't, like, how many different types of bottles of rum do you have now? Like 15 bottles, different types of rum, or something
Probably
like
more than that, because I
Yeah.
keep kind of rearranging and trying to figure it out. And what it is you figure out what you like, but then you stop now and then and go, well, why do I like this more than I like that? How do I pursue this type over that type?
Yep, and as you start tasting some of these rums, Joel, you're going to realize, like, a lot of them are going to be drastically different,
Right.
than what they taste like. The thing about vodka is, like, vodka tastes like vodka.
Right.
A perfect vodka tastes like almost nothing. That's the goal for vodka.
I mean,
Gin is supposed to be more botanical, but vodka's supposed to be almost nothing.
I mean,
I've seen taste tests done where they take whatever the highest end Grey Goose or whatever and put it up against the
Cash and carry brand.
exactly, and people can't tell the difference. So
Yeah, and
and,
like-
and if you say you can, you're a liar.
Yeah, and gin tastes like gin to me. I mean, you could tell that, like, some are better than others, I guess. But, like, with rums, there's so many different types of rum, and there's so many different flavors. And even when we get into the next type of Havana Club here, you're going to taste this, and this is going to taste a lot different than the 7-year.
Right.
Well, let's go on, Jason. What's the story with
the
this
next one? Is the Anejo.
Anejo.
Anejo. I'm trying to get the pronunciation right. Anejo Reserva, which it doesn't give an age on it, but the master distiller essentially ups his game and blends favorites together to come up with their Anejo Reserva. Anejo being a word for aging or aged.
So when Jason was up in Canada, he bought the industrial size bottle of it.
Well, you figure you can only bring so many back, so you might as well bring back the good stuff.
Yeah. So
Joel, did you get a little sip of water in between?
I did. Palate is cleansed.
this is the Anejo. So try this now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's totally different. Yeah, you can definitely. There's more complex flavors. There's more going on here for sure.
Right, and
But it is delicious.
that's the master blender's art. Taking batches of rum and blending them together to come up with something.
So you think this one's more complex than the first one?
I do.
Okay.
I'm getting like licorice, I think. Yeah. Black licorice for sure.
Would you say
That's delicious.
Would you say that this one's smoother than the first, or was the first one smoother than that?
I think the first one was probably a little bit smoother.
Okay.
This definitely has a little bit of the, that alcohol kick at the end, on the back end of it, but it has more interesting flavors overall. I think I really like that. And again, it's not something that when I think of rum, I think of rum as something that goes into a cocktail. It's really not the primary flavor. It's just kind of the base for the alcohol. I don't get that with this.
Yeah. One thing, just like as soon as you said that, I realized like this one definitely has a more alcoholic, like you can taste the alcohol more than this one. Mm-hmm. Although this one I think might be more complex. But to me, they're both still smooth rums, though.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no, I'm not, it's not burning on the way down. It's not uncomfortable to drink.
It's a very enjoyable sipper. You don't need to mix it with anything.
Yeah.
Between these two, Jason, which one do you like better?
I think I'm on the Reserva now.
You're on the Reserva?
Yes. Yes.
I was all about the 7-year for a long time. Then I got into this.
Right. The first time I tried that, I went, okay, I need a bottle of that next time I go north.
Yeah, now, but I think I'm starting to go back to the 7-year because this is all I drank at Grant's party on New Year's.
Yes, I remember.
This is all I drank.
Oh, so Joel, since we're doing the Welcome to Rum, unfortunately, I had to use the last of my Havana Club 3-year, and being as I have to go north of the border to get more, I don't have any more right now. But you notice that was a clear, and that's 3 years age. Well, I believe they age that in new barrels because rum gets most of its coloration from the barrels that it's aged in. And they could be port barrels, sherry barrels, bourbon barrels, with
Are they
various
always
different
used?
It depends. If they're fresh barrels, then they're not going to import the coloration. But if they're older barrels, they're going to import more coloration. And the longer it's aged, the more coloration. But then you'll find a lot of rums that, because aging generally imports or gives you the sense of quality, they'll add colorations. They'll add caramel and other things to make their rum darker. Or you'll get like a blackstrap rum or a dark rum or a black rum that it's dark because of color, not because it was aged that much more. So it's a little bit about when you're looking at a new rum, always read the label, kind of see what they say about how it's made.
So the interesting thing about the 3-year is this is the cheaper rum of these.
Yes.
Okay.
Like these are kind of like your more high end kind of rums, the sipping rums.
Right. The 3-year is going to be at your starting level, then a little bit higher. You've got your 7-year, then your Anejo Reserva is just a little bit more.
And this is a rum that you would use to put into something, to put into a cocktail, to put into a daiquiri. Like I've tried this rum by itself, and I don't even like it. Like I just can't even drink it. But in a cocktail or in a daiquiri, then it serves its purpose.
Right. So in order to do that, rather than do straight sampling on the 3-year, I went ahead and mixed us up a couple of, 3 daiquiris. And I went with a really basic recipe, just basically 1.5 ounces of white rum, a 1/2 ounce of fresh squeezed lime, and a 1/2 ounce of 1/1 simple syrup. And to make sure that I actually knew what I was talking about, instead of just going from memory, I went into a little Beach Bum Berry remixed right here. And the daiquiri was, in fact, invented in Cuba. There's a little village or hamlet of daiquiri, and in 1896, it was a copper engineer who actually came up with the cocktail. And it's the simplest of rum cocktails. It's just rum, lime, and sugar in the right increments mixed together. And then not too many years later, we had the Spanish-American War, and you had U.S. soldiers down there, and they discovered rum again because rum had kind of fallen out of the American palate compared to... Rum was really big in the U.S. Colonies in the 16, 17, 1800s, and then it just kind of fell off as we got more into whiskeys and bourbons and such as that. But when the American soldiers were down there, they mixed a then fairly new product, Coca-Cola, and came up with the Cuba Libre. So eventually, in high school parking lots, according to Beach Bum Berry Remixed, it got known as the Rum and Coke.
Yeah.
But the Cuba Libre, which is the sugarcane Coca-Cola, and a quality rum and a squeeze of fresh lime, never a bad cocktail choice.
You know, I love
Ever.
I love Cuban Litres, actually.
So before we get into the daiquiri, Joel, when you think of a daiquiri, do you think of a shake and drink served up like this, or what do you think of?
No. My experience with daiquiris is that I would imagine the typical American's experience of daiquiris, where it's a strawberry blended Slurpee, high sugar, syrupy, cloying, just nearly impossible.
You ever been down
drink.
Fremont Street in Las Vegas?
I have not.
Oh, have you ever been any place where they have the tourist daiquiris where it's like the giant
Yeah.
tube of slushy?
yes.
Yeah. That you by your second or third sip, your headache's already started.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Okay,
a hangover
well-
waiting to happen.
Well, these are fairly proper what a daiquiri began as. So
Okay. Cheers.
enjoy. Just rum, lime, and sugar.
That's delicious. Very good.
That's good. That's really good.
Tell you what you can do though. Go ahead and take the lid off that, and you should get a fairly strong scent off of it, because aging tends to mellow. So rum starts off a lot stronger, and then over time it mellows.
That almost smells like rubbing alcohol.
Yes. So I wouldn't recommend drinking it straight. You certainly can if you're into that kind of thing, but mixed in, perfectly good mixing rum.
Yeah, it's a perfect blend. I don't taste it. It's delicious.
Could you use this for a Cuban Libre?
I probably wouldn't. I'd probably use more of a golden or amber rum, something
Okay.
with a little bit more to it, because you're going to have a more complex flavor to it. But if that's what you got, that's what you use.
Jason, thank you for taking us on a little trip to Cuba via rum.
Yes, indeed.
And I'll be honest with you, out of all the rums out there, the Havana Club, the 7-year, the Anejo, that's some of my favorite rums to sip. This is it's incredible stuff. A lot different than Bacardi, right?
It's very different. It's delicious.
Yeah. How do you feel about continuing going down this rum journey?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see what else is coming down the pike.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Joel.
Well, thank you for having me.
We're going to have another guest on for our next episode, but you were good for this one.
I appreciate it.
But anyway, Joel, welcome to rum.
No, you're going to be on the next one.
We'll take you someplace else next.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. If I can't be there in person, this
Yeah.
is a good way to go.
We're going to take you to Hackensack, New Jersey.
You get a good Hackensack rum. How about the distilleries in Newark? Is Newark known for its distilleries?
I don't even taste the alcohol.
And actually, you kind of shouldn't, because like the rum, this 3-year doesn't have much of a taste to it.
Okay.
Oh, that'll come out of the video. Hi, Mom.
Mom, I'm filming a video.
Sorry.
I'm not professional the way you guys are.
We're professional rum drinkers. Who would have thought?
Yeah, the trick is to educate your brain as much as you educate your liver.
Yeah.
Hey gang, this is Tiki with Ray, and I just want to say thank you very much for checking out my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to see more episodes, click on the subscribe button. And if you liked the video, give it a like. That would mean a lot to me. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave a comment in the comment section below.